there are a lot of people who want to testify today and share what they believe should be happening from your local elected officials. As well, I want to acknowledge that we have at least 3 state representatives. I believe the prosecutor is also joining, as well as several city council people. If they don't show up directly, they are listening in via Zoom in the back of the room, so they will be also hearing us. If you have not already looked up at the screen, I wanted to share a few images that ironically were from last week. And so as we relate to what Ordinance 6055 is specifically, I wanted to show you some prime examples of folks being present right here in Kansas City, in Jackson County, and how they're displaying themselves. Before we get any further, and to note, there is no name badge, so we're not doxing anyone. If you know these people, you do what you will with that.
My name is Reverend David McDaniel, and so I invite you, whatever your faith tradition is, or if you don't have a particular faith tradition, I invite you to send your mind, your body, your soul, and your presence to this space. Would you please join me in a time of reflection? Our Creator, you have created each person in dignity and bound us together in shared humanity. Teach us to see one another not as strangers or threats, but as neighbors and companions in beloved community. Give us the courage to choose transparency over fear, compassion over control, and connection over division. Grant our leaders wisdom, and may each action be rooted in peace. Shape us by love that protects the vulnerable, strengthens trust, and calls us to tangible love. May each of us remember that we are stronger when we walk together, when we are caring for one another, and we are building a future rooted in hope, dignity, and peace. And all people say, amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Reverend. Now, we have folks again to sign up in the back of the room. I'll ask either Don or Cindy can bring up whoever we're going to start with this evening. One, if you have 2 minutes, please. I'll set a timer as well. My colleagues, you might help me with some of that if we need to, because I undoubtedly will forget. And our goal is to educate us as legislators as we consider Ordinance 6050. I think I try to leave a copy or 2 on every table so you can take a look at it. Just to give you highlights, this would be to allow for, thank you, for all public law enforcement agencies to comply to a mandatory prohibition from covering their faces. It would also indicate that you have to show your badge and your nameplate as you identify yourself as law enforcement. There are provisions in this ordinance that allow for extrajudicial processes that would include judicial warrants to allow for SWAT and other folks to operate with some level of different protections. But ultimately the goal from my introduction was to make sure that law enforcement broadly, that a lot of already do, have this level of compliance and accountability to the public. So that's what it is as of right now. And without further ado, we will, I forgot the most important thing. I want to thank MCC Metropolitan Community College, Penn Valley, for allowing us to host this event here today. Thank you. When I asked Dr. Beatty if we could bring this forum here, she said, how many people? And I said, I don't know, how big is your room? So I think they understand the value and importance of public voice and input. And I think it was shared that the last public official town hall that they had here was for Mark Alford, Congressman Mark Alford. So obviously issues on either end of things are to be heard at MCC. So appreciate their commitment to public service. So without further ado, it looks like number 1 on our list is Ms. Samantha Nichols.
Good evening. My name is Samantha Nichols, and I'm the pastor of First Lutheran Church in Mission Hills, and I'm also a resident of Jackson County. A couple weeks ago, we celebrated Epiphany, when we remembered the Magi, or the wise men, who followed a star until they found the Holy Family. After this visit, the Magi were supposed to return to the wicked King Herod so that he could find the Christ child and destroy him. But they didn't. The Magi did not return or report back. They did not do what King Herod told them to do. They resisted. They practiced peaceful civil disobedience, and they charted a different path. And that is what I, as a person of faith, call upon Jackson County to do. When the federal government asserts that ICE agents have absolute immunity and can do whatever they want, Jackson County must chart a different path. We must do everything we can to ensure these agents are held accountable, which includes the passage of Ordinance 6050. When ICE wants to build a new detention center, Jackson County must chart a different path. We must say no, not here, not nearby, not anywhere. When the federal government sends ICE agents to our communities who terrorize our neighborhoods by hunting people as they go to work or school or simply exist in their homes, all without valid judicial warrants, Jackson County must chart a different path. We must bear witness to these crimes, educate each other on our rights, and show up for our neighbors. My faith is in a God who says, welcome the stranger, who says, you shall not oppress immigrants, who says, love your neighbor. My faith is in Jesus Christ, a refugee himself. And so I urge you to pass Ordinance 6050 to resist the activity of ICE in our community. Trump and his administration want us to follow them on their path of cruelty and violence. May we in Jackson County chart a different path, one of mercy, peace, and love. Thank you.
I'm going to ask that speakers be ready to go, so I'm going to give two names, Anthony Jennings, and Lori Kellogg. So pick your microphone. Again, if you can make sure that the microphones are on. You might test out, I want to make sure as well. I think that was not on. There should be a switch right down the side of the
Good evening. I'm Antoine Jennings, or you can call me Antifa.
I'm sorry. I'm going to do that a lot, so sorry.
No, that's fine. You can just call me Antifa. Because I am anti-fascist. To Jackson County legislators, if you all do not protect the citizens of whom you represent, you are going to have hell on your hands if we allow this. You're going to have hell and the blood will be on your hand. I appreciate this ordinance. However, it doesn't go far enough. It needs to go further. Here we have agents from the federal government coming into communities. We will not be another Minneapolis. We will not be another Chicago. We will not be any other blue town that the administration think that they can come in and bully. Because the people here will resist, we will fight back, and for anyone that's listening, guess what? We believe in our Second Amendment rights as well. We believe in fighting against a tyrannical government, and we will fight against this government. If Jackson County legislators do not do the right thing and put more language into this, I appreciate the framework. I really do. But we need to go further. We have to protect our residents from this chaos. Because here, we know ICE has three ways you can detain a person. One is if you interfere with an arrest, then they can detain you. Number two is if you assault an officer. And number three, the most ridiculous thing at all, if they suspect you of being in the U.S. illegally. Some jackwit Proud Boy who is working for ICE right now can look at someone like you, Manny, like me, and say, oh, I don't think you're from the United States because your skin is brown, your skin is black. We will not do that. So I'm telling Jackson County right now, you come to our streets, we're coming to the streets with you. Power to the people.
Let me remind you before you go, there are 9 of us at the Jackson County Legislature. 4 of us are currently here. It takes 5 of us to pass an ordinance, 6 if there's an objection in some ways. So keep that in mind. Direct all of it towards us, please. We're asking you to do that, but remember, the 4 that are here want to hear you right now. So here we are. Go ahead.
Lori Kellogg, I've been watching this horror story all year. I've been active on TikTok and on all the socials, sharing information, networking with people, witnessing from afar, live feeds from Portland, Oregon, Los Angeles, Chicago at the Broadmoor. I've been watching it all. and I've seen every community.
It's dead. Oh, perfect. Thank you.
And all the cities have rolled over. All the police forces are backing ICE. The police organizations put out a letter just a few days ago that they're supporting ICE. We're not going to have our police force to enforce anything that you pass, unfortunately. Portland, Oregon City Council doesn't listen. The mayor of Los Angeles doesn't listen. The Los Angeles police force has been out of control since its inception and have brutalized their communities, and they learned nothing from Rodney King. I lived in Los Angeles at the time and witnessed it. In Portland, Oregon, their police force is just, arresting the left-wing people instead of all these influencers that are supported monetarily by this administration. At the Broadmoor, the sheriff's department comes out and brutalizes the protesters, peaceful protesters at all these locations. And when this facility opens, we're going to be coming out. And that neighborhood, there's no street parking. It's all private property. There's no place to peacefully protest legally. So that's going to be a big issue if that facility opens. And if we don't have lawyers, city lawyers, and lawyers in the police department to keep this and enforce anything that you pass, it's a waste of time and energy. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Oscar Garcia, and I'm here on behalf of the Mattie Rose Center, which serves primarily the Hispanic and Latino neighborhoods in the historic Northeast, the West Side, and the Northland. We at the Mattie Rose Center strongly support the county's efforts to hold law enforcement accountable. But it's critical that our ordinances and laws are both strong and legally sound. I guess my concern is whether this ordinance has a clear statutory basis under state law, and whether the county has considered the risk that this could be preempted or potentially expose the county's liability. I would just like to know, as well as many others, if we have addressed the question as to whether the authority that the county relies upon to enact this ordinance actually can withstand a legal challenge, and if so, how can we as a community support that? Thank you.
I'm going to take some of these back with me, and we'll try and answer them towards the end where we can get some reference from our legal counsel or someone else. So I'll take that one and jot it down if you have questions.
Good evening, county legislators. My name is Reagan Gonzalez, and I am a new resident of Kansas City, Missouri, and in Jackson County, and I'm proud to call it my new home. I rise today in strong and urgent support of Ordinance 6050. As you know, thousands of immigrants call Kansas City home, and right now we are living in a moment where fear has become normalized. Across this country, ICE is operating with alarming force and little accountability. And many of us are left standing by, wondering who the next victim will be, knowing painfully that it could be one of us, our neighbors, our friends, and simply you. Renee was not just a headline. She was not disposable. She was a mother, a wife, and a daughter. She was loved and she mattered. And she was a former resident of the city, part of our very community, and she should still be here with us today. This ordinance is not just about policy, it is about responsibility. It is about ensuring that our city does not turn away or remain silent when harm occurs under the cover of secrecy and unchecked authority. Transparency and accountability are not luxuries. Sorry, I lost my place. They are safeguards that protect human life and dignity. When systems operate without transparency, people suffer. When there is no accountability, injustice is allowed to repeat itself. Ordinance 6050 is a declaration that Kansas City refuses to accept this as normal. It is a commitment to doing better, and it's to honor lives like Renee by demanding openness, oversight, and ethical governance. Passing this ordinance will not undo the harm that has already been done, but it sends a powerful message to the federal government that this city sees, this city will remember, and this city will act. We value human life over bureaucracy and injustice over conveniences. I urge you to pass this ordinance 6050, not only in the honor of Renee, but for every resident and immigrant who deserves to feel safe in their neighborhoods, seen, and protected in their own community. Thank you.
We got Clinton Martins and Ethan Frazier.
I just want to say, as a white man, I know my experience in this country, in this state, in this city is much different than the black, brown, indigenous, LGBTQ communities that have embraced me. And I've sat on the sidelines for too long. I've been an ally, but now it's time to be a co-conspirator. And that's what I'm here for. I want to hold myself accountable. I'm here. I want to be educated. I want to listen. ISIS are the domestic terrorists. They're using fear and intimidation to break down my community, and I'm just simply here to say that I'm here. I support anything we can do to make their lives miserable while they're in our city. It requires some creativity on a lot of our parts on what we can do. I want to know, is there anything that we can do with city resources to track ICE while they're in the city? Is there anything we can do to find out the businesses that are working with ICE? Because we're ready. I mean, this is the budget of ICE is huge, and this is just the beginning. And it's like it's the tip of the spear, but this is for us as well. The pushback. This is the beginning for us as well. So I just want to say I'm ready. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere, and let's just keep pushing and fighting because we have to win. Fascism will not win.
It's been a whole year already of seeing brutality happening in American streets, and at this point we know ISIS playbook. We have seen how they operate from Los Angeles, Chicago, Louisiana, and most recently and most horribly, Minneapolis. Logic would follow that if you know the plays the offense is going to run, then you can use that to play defense. Thus, the question I have for the legislators is what are we doing as Jackson County to prepare? This ordinance is a good step, but we understand that supremacy clause will rip it up. That question comes in three parts of what we're trying to do. First, ICE has shown a complete lack of respect for First Amendment protections. ICE and apparently the U.S. Department of Justice also don't understand what legally constitutes impeding a law enforcement action. Are city and county law enforcement prepared to educate ICE officers on constitutional protections for ICE observers and, if necessary, defend Jackson County citizens using their constitutional rights? Are city and county officials and prosecutors prepared to file charges against ICE officers that do violate the Constitution and break local and state laws? Second, ICE has also shown a willingness to detain civilians without cause, sometimes for hours or days on end. They then restrict local, state, and federal elected officials from visiting detention facilities in violation of state and federal law. In this circumstance, and we know it will happen, are city and county law enforcement officials prepared to break into ICE detention facilities and arrest commanding officers? Lastly, ICE has shown blatant disregard for the most fundamental rights of property, including the showing of a valid judicial warrant to enter American homes and businesses. Entry into a private property without a signed judicial warrant in the state of Missouri is potentially criminal, and the Castle Doctrine could be effectuated. Are city and county officials prepared to defend a Jackson County resident's right to defend their life and property if they end up shooting an ICE agent that breaks in their home without a warrant? We know ICE is capable of murder and abject lawlessness. They won't for a damn fact the state of Missouri and our surrounding counties will leave us out to dry. Whether you are a Republican, Democrat, or unregistered, we are in this situation together as Jackson County citizens. And I would appreciate, and I think at least for the people in this room today, that our elected officials understand what is happening in this country for what it is and prepare accordingly. Thank you.
I just want to remind everyone, we're all up for re-election this year, so if there are people who are not here, maybe some of you consider running for office. Natalia Lane and Deborah Hayes.
Hello, I'm Natalia Lane. I'm here on behalf of my family, friends, and all the community. Fear of immigration enforcement is real. For anyone who is proud or speaks with any kind of accent. I'm a U.S. citizen, and I'm afraid. If I feel this fear, imagine how prisoners and residents without protections feel. Transparency is not anti-law. It's not anti-law enforcement. It's pro-public trust. Trust cannot exist where fear is present. Trust requires safety. Jackson County must take a clear stand, choosing transparency over fear, choosing accountability over intimidation, and choosing to be a host community worthy of trust. You cannot invite the world to Jackson County and allow fear to govern our streets. Fear is not a tourism strategy, and secrecy is not public safety. We have to lead with courage. Please pass Ordinance 63.
Okay, Don, you will.
I will just say I'm so blown away by these people, and I'm not prepared, but my husband and I moved to the west side 8 years ago, and we have come to find an amazing community there, more than we ever felt anywhere else. And so we're just here because we just love everyone. I mean, it's just so ridiculous to be so racist. I'm sorry, but it's all about racism too. So I just think, also with your ordinance, how are you going to back it up? I think that's what I want to know. How are you going to enforce it? And I love the idea of warrants. Who does that? Is it the city or is it the state? And does Governor Cahill, is he going to just shut all this down? Is he able to do that? Those are questions I have. Thank you.
I want to address a couple of those questions right now while we're getting other opportunities for folks to sign up. So supremacy clause, yeah, that's come up a lot about who has what authority. Basically, the way the law works is it's a funnel system, right? The bigger the law at the top, the less specific it is at the bottom. And that's where we come in. If we get very specific, we can kind of control things until another authority comes in and eclipses that ability. So, ironically, and I won't share too much, but I think folks remember mask mandate from the past, and where some people were on that position of a mask mandate. And the irony of this conversation now for those same folks not wanting to wear masks or wear them. So there are creative opportunities for us to explore in law, and I'm sure it'll be constitutional as well as getting down to the local control issues of the 10th and other amendments. And so there are ways for us to protect certain elements. There will be challenges, undoubtedly, to certain elements. And I think one of the things that we are considering as we move forward, as I have already had conversations with, is who else are experts that we can bring to the table from the legal community to help us prepare for additional support systems. I was on a call today with colleagues from across the country, one being from Minnesota, a county elected official, who were sharing that the tangible things we can do to really educate and inform businesses, signs to display, images that we can put up that say, these are your rights, cards we can print from the county. It's not just creating ordinances and laws. We have a print machine, basically, with resources that we can leverage. And so I think that is, again, as chair, I'm one of 9, but 5 of us decide on things. 3 others are here tonight, and it takes 1 more to figure out certain priorities. So we can leverage a lot of different instruments to help in different ways, and I think we certainly will do that. One of the things I think that you should definitely get the context of your elected officials, because we have an unlimited supply of print ink. Anyways, I try to be as calm as I can as the chair of the entire legislature. Yeah, well, I think a lot of people are here, some of my constituents, as yours, as Donna's as well, but we will continue to leverage a lot of that. I will say, and I've said this multiple times, I think, with media, you need to expect and demand more from your locally elected officials. Those are individuals who are here constantly. When I presented myself and talked to loved ones to go and find out information about the ICE facility, I called our Congressman Cleaver and said, I'm going to call you when I'm drug out of my car and thrown in the back of a van if I can reach my phone. And he was prepared and ready. I will say he also, to I think your point, he has personally smuggled himself and myself into and out of ICE facilities to learn on a multitude of occasions while I was on his staff. So I think those are some things that I think are important to note. This is no easy way to say this, but the truth is real. Your Kansas City, Missouri Police Department is state controlled. That reality needs to be considered as we think about what that impact may have within our jurisdiction. Those rights are reserved for us as well as statewide efforts, but that is an element that we need to consider. The mayor's on that police board. There are several others that are on that police board. So that's something to talk about. I think the prosecutor said that she was going to listen into the speeches today, so I know she's hearing it. She and I had a conversation before this event to explain to her what the expectations are, and she had said, you all legislate and create the laws. It is my job to prosecute. It is the police department side to enforce. I think you have seen where our sheriff has ended up. I think we've had several conversations to change that, but again, there has to be an enforcement element to this. Your municipalities, there's several cities, looks like, that are represented besides Kansas City. Those are questions that you should be asking your local elected officials to make sure Lee Summit, Grandview, Blue Springs, Oak Grove, Green Valley, how will you respond? If you see men in armed tactical gear with weapons in an unmarked vehicle, to me, that seems like something I call the cops on. But what they choose to do when they arrive may be different. We have seen examples in the Northland where sheriff arrives, says, oh, you're ICE, thanks, I'm out of here. Didn't ask for a judicial warrant, didn't ask to understand why they're ripping through people's private offices. That happened already up north in Liberty. Those 13 individuals were taken and apprehended, 12 were released, 1 was deported. So we have to be prepared. I don't know if my colleagues can add anything to that while we get more speakers, but.
First off, my God, what the power that is in this room already that we have heard. Let me just say that, you know, the county is kind of the stepchild of the stepchild of the stepchild when it comes to local government. It's something that's forgotten by a lot of folks. But what we have here is something that's very rare. We are considered a first-class chartered county. And what that means is that we are one of 3 or 4 of the most powerful entities in this state. We are an extension of the state. And when we had folks who had compassion and didn't use fear, we would all work together to fight against such overreach from the federal government. Sadly, and this is why I think it makes us all worry, is that even though we may be in this position as Jackson County, we don't have a governor who has compassion for folks. One party controls Jefferson City and starts with an R and ends with Uplikins. The other one is controlled by Democrats. That's very different mindsets. You already saw what they did to the congressional seats. They wanted to rip up our democracy and are still trying to. So this is my ask, though, to you, because it's never been, anytime there's been a fight for human rights or civil rights, it's never been easy. There's always been a law in place that stops something and another law and another law. Those who've been in the civil rights, possibly in this room, know that. But what it requires is that even though this is a Democratic county, hold those Democrats accountable. Hold every single elected official, just like what Manny said. But here's the thing. On Jackson County Legislature, each one of you who lives in Jackson County is represented by 4 people. You're in district, and then there's 3 at-larges. I'm one of them. Ms. Donna Payton in the back there is the second at-large. There's a 3rd at-large. You're represented by those people. Many of you might have seen that we have an interim county executive. He represents you. The prosecutor, she represents you. The sheriff's office, he represents you. So don't leave this. And I know we got a lot of questions about what we need to do and what does the law say and all these other things. Here's the honest truth. We can do as much as we possibly can. We can write almost any piece of legislation, but it'll be smacked down. But the thing is that we have to get across the finish line just to get it done and make them come sue us. Make them come after us and say, no, certain people's lives don't matter. You have to follow our law. But the only way we get there is if all of us as a collective say to this government, you are a majority Democratic county and a Democratic government. You pass these laws or you're out of office. I've been here on this legislature, and I didn't know I would be the old guy in the room, but I've been here for 7 years. You know how many Democratic laws have been shot down? Too many. But now we face fascism in a way that we never thought we would see. As the individual said earlier, Renee should be alive. All those individuals who were attacked, drug out of their homes, shot, ran over with a car, hit with a baton in Minneapolis, they don't deserve that. LA, what they did to LA earlier, last year, that was the first shot across the bow. Now they're coming into places where they know there's no protection for us at the state. They can just run over us here. But we have to decide on, are we going to make the stand, or are we going to say it's too hard? I don't think it's too hard. I don't think my colleagues think it's too hard. I don't think going out and making sure that the individual who's been here all their lives, has created a community, should be held down, have their neck pressed on by the knee of an ICE agent who saw something on YouTube and gets $50,000 and they just feel great about themselves because they couldn't become a police officer. I don't think it's right that you see pregnant individuals dragged out of their cars and beaten into an inch of their life. I don't think it's right when you have individuals who have dementia are being dragged out of their homes, their nursing homes, and say, well, they're a criminal. What did they do? Well, they stole something 25, 30 years ago. I don't think it's right. And you don't think it's right. But the fact is, and Manny has gone through this, Manny went down there, and they tried to go after him. He's an elected official. What are they going to do to the average person? We know. They're going to throw you in jail. They're going to deport you to a country that you've never been to, and you'll never see your family again. This is not up for debate. This is not something that's made up. We're seeing this now. And this is why we have to be passionate. This is happening to human beings. We have to put past this idea, us versus them, black versus white versus brown. This is wrong on every level. So this is just the first step, folks. But we need you to help us keep that fire burning.
I would like to invite Jordan Herrera, Angelica Schaefer.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jordan Herrera. I'm a filed candidate. I'm running against Mark Alford in Missouri's 4th district. Let me tell the room, this disabled veteran is pissed off, and I'll be damned if I'm going to let them win. I served my country honorably for 16 years, just under 16 years, I don't want to lie. Just under 16 years. I served at a time when DABT was the law. This hat, Iraq, Afghanistan veteran, I earned this hat. This wasn't a purchase. This was bought after 16 years of sacrifice and watching my friends take their own lives, serve their country, and now they're back in a country where I, myself, disabled veteran, 100% permanently and totally disabled, am paying out of pocket for my own medications. That is happening. That is happening to millions of veterans. Oh, by the way, I'm Hispanic and Latino. Maybe you can't see it on my face, but I have a passport in that coat right there. I've been carrying that passport since the beginning of last year. Do you think this hat is going to protect me? Nope. It didn't protect Manny. and he's super well known in our area. Thank you so much, guys, for standing up and doing this. I fully support Ordinance 6050. If I could, the only language that worries me is the word tactical and SWAT operations are still in there. Tactical operations, as an attorney, can be very vague. That word, if we can find a way to remove tactical, that would be great. And to the other gentleman's point, there should be a waiver to overcome immunity. Qualified immunity is a knowing thing. If you choose to wear a mask, it is my personal belief that will operate as a waiver. Maybe not for criminal liability, but at least civil liability. And in a city where we have $23 million every year in civil police liability settlements, this is essential.
State civil.
State civil. Thank you so much. Thank you, Lori. But the point remains that if we want to hold them accountable, let's make them civilly liable for choosing to go ahead and wear that mask that you guys are trying to get off of their faces. That way, they can't operate with the federal government just as their backer. Let's hold them accountable and make them pay civilly for the wrongs they do on our streets. I think we can go That's coming from a former AAG. I was an assistant attorney general for our state here, so waiver for immunity is huge. That will be a big deal. That's how you overcome a state, and that's how you win. Anyway, last thing is on Friday, January 23rd, we've been given approval at the Harrisonville Justice Center in Cass County. I'm inviting you all to be there. At 1 p.m., we will be protesting outside of Harrisonville County seat, making sure that Bob Houston knows, he's the county commissioner in Cass, his decision is wrong. We're not going to stand for it. We're going to show up in force, and I'm bringing everybody with me. Everybody in Cass County, Bates County has been on alert, Jackson County has been notified, and we're bringing everyone out there, so please join me. It'll be on all of our socials soon, tonight. Thank you so much.
And I think Cass County representative.
My name is Angelica Schaefer. I live in Kansas City and in Jackson County. I want to thank Jackson County for standing firm for transparency in law enforcement. I know this proposal is directed at ICE because I have never really encountered a local law enforcement officer that looks like that. And they always openly display their badges and name tags. Having ICE officers, first of all, in plain clothes for one, but then on top of it in full battle gear, with masks and no other clear identification inside, roaming our streets, does not only spread fear, but it will also not keep our city and county safe. This ordinance will give better assurance to the public that ICE cannot operate outside the law, civil rights, and due process, as they will be more readily identified. My preference actually would be for them to wear body cams too. Aside from this ordinance, we are facing another concern in our city and county. The plan of the federal government to open a huge detention center in a warehouse in the Kansas City area should be alarming to us all. Following reports from around the country about conditions in other detention facilities makes it clear that these facilities are run more like concentration camps than legitimate detention facilities. Oversight of these facilities by local government agencies is non-existent. Due process for the detainees is non-existent. I go regularly to the immigration court in Kansas City and often observe the procedures on the detainee docket. More and more directives come down from our current administration to make it impossible for the judges to give due process to detainees and respondents. Many respondents have no criminal records and are in the process of applying for asylum when they were arrested. We as Americans and Kansas City residents should not be known for facilitating false arrest and detention of innocent people whose only desire is to find safety for themselves and their families. As an immigrant myself, I was lucky enough to enter the United States 40 years ago as a white European. without having to go through the harrowing experience of our immigrant neighbors of color that they are facing now. I am from Germany, and I'm worried and horrified that my adopted country is going down the same slippery slope of my country of origin. I would like to ask Jackson County and Kansas City to reject and oppose the opening of a warehouse detention center in our area. Given ICE's record, the city has no guarantee that it will not open the door to a Kansas City version of a concentration camp.
Beth Harvey and Alex Sherman could join us. And just so everyone is aware, I've shared this with multiple media sources. This is not to create any fear, any additional fear. When I was invited in eventually to talk to the ICE agents, they made it clear that they are not looking for Mark Alford's offer of an empty lot. They are looking for a physically constructed building that currently exists. They would like to stand up an intermediary detention facility in the next 3 months, and if that facility were to be chosen as the site, they would open it in November. So to be clear, the difference between Leavenworth and here, this is the federal government buying a property and executing under full authority of the federal government. Any ordinance passed, including the city, sadly, will be quickly supremacy right over the top, and we will have no authority to stop a facility. We can govern around it though, which can be very fun and creative. So I'll invite modes to exist for occupation.
Yeah, so my main concern, as I think a lot of people's is like what happens when the actual ICE agency, like what happens when they're non-compliant? What happens when you say you got to report and they don't report? I mean, right here, there's already like a loophole. When concealment is allowed, when it's documented, when everything's approved and okayed, and agencies are supposed to report their exemptions, and that's great, right? But we're already leaving them a door out, a way around, a way to govern around us, And I would just like to hear, what happens when they go around us? What happens when they don't comply? What are the real levers of power that we have to pull to force compliance?
I will somewhat try and address that quickly. I mean, civil citation is one of those, right? We can fine people up to $1,000 per occurrence, but that's not in here either. And so that's another element that could be added at any point. So let's talk that process. To amend and edit this, even for what I think the current proceedings, I think this is actually the old one, we are changing this to the good ordinance as well in honor of Armed good and that sacrifice. But we have to adopt that as a body. That has to be committee substitute. And so I have not changed committees as chair yet because I think this is an important element that needs to be navigated to and from. So we will navigate that process, and all the suggestions you're making here is part of that as well. Any one of us can amend, any one of us can sponsor this. I introduced it personally, and we'll welcome as many sponsors and edits as we need to fix some of these things. The way this works is I don't go write this by myself. This is a general council written but not signed off on piece of legislation, meaning that general council believed that they wrote it because I made them, but they don't necessarily agree that it has the full strength of law from the county. So that also is not a good sign for our general counsel to say they're not willing to defend it. So, not the answer you're looking for, but the answers I got.
Thank you for being candid about it.
My name is Madeline, sorry, and I'm here representing Indivisible Kansas City, and I want to thank you for putting forth this ordinance. I would agree with Antifa. I don't think it goes far enough, but it's a start. So, it's not lost on me that just a few blocks away, I hope that everybody in this room has at once visited the Liberty Memorial. In 1926, President Calvin Coolidge dedicated the Liberty Memorial, and I want to read something that he said. He said, "The Liberty Memorial has not been raised to commemorate war and victory, but rather the results of war and victory, which are embodied in peace, liberty, and freedom." It's all about freedom, and I'm just going to say what's going on here. We have a white supremacist living in our White House. He has, a white supremacist living in our White House.
What's left?
He has developed, and I'm just going to say it, he's developed his own Gestapo. We all know. Let's just call it what it is. I can remember for years and years when he was on TV, and I always thought, why is the media not calling him a liar? He was lying in his first administration. Of course, now he's got dementia, it's even worse. But we need to just call it what it is. He's a white supremacist. He's got the Gestapo out, and what he's trying to do is make America white again. And it's not going to happen.
Yes.
Never, never will America be totally white again. Get off it. It's never going to be white again. We are all one nation. Black, brown, pink, purple, olive, whatever you are. We are all together, and we're going to fight this. For the No Kings that we had back in October, we had probably over 20,000 people down in Mill Creek. I know we're going to have a No Kings 3 probably in the next several months. I hope everybody in this room shows up because we're going to let Trump have it. Have it. We've got to do everything in our power to stop this because what he's trying to do is intimidate people so that when the time comes to vote, people aren't going to come out of their homes. That's what he's trying to do. And he's going to try to do the same thing he's doing in Minneapolis, in every other city in this country. It's coming. So you better be prepared. If you haven't joined a group, you need to do it. If you don't donate to a group, you need to do it. If you haven't written your representatives, you need to do it. You need to do something. Because if we don't, there's nobody coming to save us. Nobody. We saved Germany, as the gal was talking about earlier. Thank you so much. Sorry for your country, but
They're doing better now.
But I implore everybody in here to join different groups, get involved, do something, write, call. We've got to take action. People just sitting around complaining about it is going to do nothing. And we definitely need more ordinances like you're talking about, but they need to be stiffer and stricter because they're not going to just say, "Oh well, I'll get in trouble if I do this or that." No, they'll do whatever they want, just like they're doing in Minneapolis. They're pulling people out of their homes. I mean, they're not following the law. They won't. I don't care what you put on the books. They're going to do everything they want. My God, we have a president who's a criminal. I mean, they're just following suit. So, thank you so much. Tomorrow in Tent City, there's going to be a ton of people down there. So, if you have an opportunity, if you have the day off, or if you're retired like me, you can go to Tent City and tell those representatives what you think. So, I implore you again, take action. Thank you so much.
So I do want to acknowledge Senator Barbara Washington has joined us on the feed as well, so she is listening from the Capitol. They are all there now, so that you know that. Congressman Cleaver, unfortunately, was on an airplane to go back to D.C., so he could not join us, but was sending us his good wishes. We'll invite up Grant Gates and Lauren Yon.
I'm Grant Gates. I guess I'll just copy what everyone else said, but less charming. Obviously, the 650 is great, and you three have to do what you have to do to pass stuff. And we do what you're putting down with the other people who aren't here. But what I'll say to everyone here is that the law is fake. It's illegal to do what they're doing already. When they're gunning down our husbands and our spouses, and they're taking our kids out of school and molesting them in detention centers, that's already illegal.
Yes, right.
We are learning, us honkies are learning what black and brown indigenous people already know. America, and this is not a metaphor, America is the forefront. Look at this. Trump did not invent ICE. Biden did not invent ICE. Trump, the first time, did not invent ICE. This is Obama. Democrats and Republicans, they don't give a fuck if you live or die.
That's right!
We cannot do this alone. If you castle doctrine somebody in plain clothes come into your house, they're just ventilating your family. This only works if you have your apartment built, if you have your work, if you have your school, if you have your neighborhood on your side. I invited 20 people to come and it was just me. That's okay. It's a Tuesday at 6. Keep inviting people, keep showing up. Do something. Don't do it alone. Do it discreetly. The law is fake.
Good evening. My name is Lauren, and I'm also here to express my strong support for Ordinance 6050 and any related legislation that it will pass. I'm a social worker, academic social science researcher, and Jackson County resident. I have a PhD in public mental health, and I study how policies and programs affect community well-being.
We should hire you.
Open to it. I'm particularly concerned about what we know from the research, and hopefully you might find some of this helpful in rallying support for these measures. Studies show that feeling anonymous, such as when wearing a mask, makes people less publicly self-aware, more likely to justify harmful behavior, have lower self-restraint, be more easily angered, commit more harmful actions, and even think more aggressively. On the other hand, being identifiable on the job means that officers personally have something to lose when an interaction goes poorly, and something really important to gain when an interaction goes well. Community relationship building has been recognized for decades as one of the top factors related to fewer deadly force incidents, and that's something that benefits everyone. I care deeply about holding law enforcement accountable on a personal level as well. And every one of my own experiences of law enforcement abuse of power has occurred when officers deliberately anonymize themselves. During my global work, I've been extorted by a police officer who had removed the license plates from his service vehicle. I've also been assaulted at gunpoint in an attempted carjacking and robbery by a group of masked off-duty law enforcement officials. These experiences made me deeply fearful of future encounters and pretty disinclined to cooperate with law enforcement in any circumstances, even though I have broken no law. This has made me feel in my bones how important this issue is for long-term community relationships in ways I frankly never expected I would as a white American. I certainly don't wish to repeat these experiences or see any member of my Jackson County community subjected to the same, and particularly our immigrant neighbors. I believe Ordinance 6050 and any related legislation can be a significant step toward promoting public safety in a way that aligns with what we know from those decades of social science research. Please develop these measures as far as you can, and please help our children learn and believe that people with federal authority to enforce the law are not themselves above the law. Thank you.
There are several illusions that I think it's important to educate. First, I want to do something as people start to leave. Would you raise your hand if you support 6050 in its any form at this point? Yeah, that's kind of what I figured. Thank you. So there are 7 Democrats and 2 Republicans on the legislature. 4 Democrats you've seen today. So it takes 5 to pass any ordinance, 6 if we get really difficult. This will be difficult. So I just want to make sure you know that. And if you don't get a chance to speak today, you're looking for an opportunity, we always welcome emails or phone calls. And for those folks who didn't come, I think it's an opportunity, whether you're Republican or Democrat. I think these aren't Democrat-Republican issues. These are democracy issues. But I'll leave it at that for now in my own commentary. Hillary Sanchez and Thomas Wade.
Thank you. My name is Hillary Sanchez. I'm an immigrant to this country, and I'm not a U.S. citizen. I'm here with Free Palestine, Kansas City. I'll probably cry and go to EMS, so it is what it is. Our mission is the joint struggle of Palestinian liberation in Palestine and decolonization in Kansas City. And the thing that brings us out here this evening, ICE terror, sits directly in that intersection. For us, fighting the threat of an IOF-trained secret police force in our streets is imperative to everything we believe in. Since the invention of the railroad, train tracks have facilitated ethnic cleansings around the globe, from that of the Herero and Nama people in Southwest Africa, to the Nazi Holocaust, to Japanese-American internment here in the US. So it is no coincidence that the proposed location of a Kansas City ICE mega detention facility sits on the tracks of the only freight railroad stretching all the way from Canada to Mexico. It's only to be expected when the acting director of ICE openly likens his proposed funnel feeding system to Amazon Prime, but with human beings. This deeply dehumanizing system would rely on a handful of these mega detention centers as hubs, or removal staging grounds into which DHS can disappear whoever they want. They call this efficiency. In reality, it is a pipeline that turns human beings into cargo freight, a pipeline for family separation and profit, and a pipeline that did not appear out of nowhere. It is all part of a global playbook of control, displacement, and dehumanization, which has been playing out for decades.
We're here with you now.
You got more than 2 minutes, so don't worry.
For over 75 years in Palestine, a settler colonial movement has enacted systematic separation, displacement, containment, and worse of the Palestinian people. They live in refugee camps, in tents under siege and bombardment in Gaza, or under military law in the West Bank, their movement controlled by walls and checkpoints and surveilled by millions of invisible eyes. Here in the US, a system designed to exclude and remove populations deemed undesirable is now being supercharged in reckless record time. The goal is the same: control, removal, and the erosion of human rights. And every day they turn on more technologies from the Zionist occupation to facilitate their own. Look at the training exchanges between ICE, the FBI, and the Israeli military and police. They are trading tactics on surveillance, crowd control, and detention. The violence tested and perfected on Palestinians in Hebron and Gaza that has been quietly imported to police in our communities here are now being employed openly, and not just by cops, but seemingly by anyone with a mask and a gun. I'm tired of trying to convince people that murdering children is wrong. I'm tired of sending taxpayer dollars to Israel to kill entire families. I'm trying to convince people that killing people on the other side of the world is wrong, that people of color should matter. I'm tired of the war machine, and I'm scared of the war machine. Because the war machine isn't just on the other side of the world. It's right here, in American cities, local police departments, ICE, the list goes on. Councilman, you said, we are facing fascism we never thought we'd see. What makes anyone in here think that this was impossible? What made you think the imperial war machine wasn't going to come right on home?
We invented it.
We invented it. There's a proverb that says,
We're still here with you, Bill.
the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. Each of you has a choice when you leave here tonight. You can do something to help realize the future or not. The best time to stand up and resist was long before we became the targets ourselves, but the second best time is right now. Let's go. Stand up, find your people, your community, organize, get out in the streets and make your voice loud.
I'm going to struggle to follow that. Try my best. My name is Thomas Webb. Yes, you can laugh. It's very funny. I'm also with Free Palestine KC. I moved back here in July, actually. I didn't have a job. I knew these 3 people who've been so kind to me throughout this entire experience, and I had 0 opportunities in my field. And on a whim, I looked up Free Palestine KC on Instagram, and I went out and I volunteered for the Palestinian community at the Ethnic Festival last year. I worked in inhospitable food service for years already in my life, in absolute misery and apathy. And I spent that entire weekend doing 10-hour days in 100-degree weather and never felt more fulfilled and happy to be doing that kind of work and to be part of such a wonderful community of people. Everybody here in KC showed up in droves to support them, and we sold out of everything. You gave them so much support and money, and I cannot thank you enough for that art, and I hope you continue to show it, not only for the Palestinian people, but everyone within our community. I stuck with that community, and it led me to more volunteer work, more community work. It got me into Free Palestine KC, and I have been surrounded with such love, support, and purpose that I could never repay if I had 10 lifetimes to do it. Eventually, through them, it led me to work in my field that will be starting in the coming month, something that even my professional contacts within the industry could never have given me. This is the true face of our communities, Palestinian, Somali, Black, Brown, and more. All of them, the kindest, bravest, and most beautiful people you could have ever had the pleasure of calling a friend or neighbor if you only take the time. They are us, and I refuse to accept a life without them. Yes. Like Antifa said, I support the framework and the intent, but we cannot compromise with fascists, period. To me, demanding ICE carry badges or not wear masks as they snatch up our community members, sever families, and murder people in cold blood is a waste of time and does not go far enough. I want ICE out of my county, out of my city, out of my state, and out of my country. Anything less than that, any support given to them by state officials, legislators, judges, and I want them gone too. It is the only option at this point that is sensible. That is what this moment in history demands. ICE has shown us who they are and what they are about. They are murderers and they are monsters. They are the legacy of the Confederacy, the Klan, and they are openly flaunting it. None of this is new to American history. But it is the moment where we must deal with it once and for all. We should all be tired of having to revisit this problem that has been growing underneath our country since its inception. We have to tear down that concentration camp they want to build in this city and kick them out. Any means necessary, abolish ICE, free Palestine, expect the people.
We said we'd stay to 7:30, and we'll do our best to get there. We got 6 speakers, looks like, left. So you can't keep it tight. Alan Pacheco's Sophia Lyric.
Hi, my name is Arlene Pacheco, and me and Ollie here are both brown. I don't know what hasn't been said already. I know that I agree with what has been. This is an old fight, a very old fight. Fight that's been against every other color. If you didn't know white is a lack of color. I'm so sorry, that's just color theory. To get to the point, in this ordinance, I would like to see not only the masks removed mandatory, but also body cams, and as well as possibly literature that if they are wearing a mask and forcing themselves into my home, I'm allowed to treat them as the criminal that they are behaving as. So fine, if you want to wear a mask, that's fine. I'll shoot at my door. I will. I don't believe in eye for an eye, but I will get yours before you get mine. I am a big supporter of Jordan Barrera. You need to get to know that man. He's doing big things for lots of our areas, not only the district that he's running for. And he informed me of a very unique fact yesterday. There's a lot of districts in Missouri that are just not represented at all on the Democratic side. Therefore, the Republican gets a free-for-all pass. And anyone can run. Anyone. And that means anyone can do anything. You don't have to run to do something. Last year, I felt very alone because as a Hispanic, I have felt this from the beginning. Okay? My family was trafficked here. We didn't choose to be here. We like it here now, so don't kick us out. But we worked our hard asses off to be right, to be legal, to pay our taxes and do the right thing. I just live here, don't shoot me. Okay? And what I'm asking, and what I'm feeling this year, as I've attended 2 protests now and this event tonight, is an incredible unity. I don't care what got you here, whether it was seeing another white person shot, someone that looks like you, or whether it's finally close to home. It's always been close to my home. Okay? And I don't care what got you here. I'm glad that you're here. Get organized, have the difficult conversations, get systemized, okay? Get to know your neighbors, get to know what neighbors you can count on to escort your children and you in case of something that happened, and if they were to need escorts. The people in this room, 100 out of however many million live in this district. I counted, it's just about 100. That's how many light workers there are around the city that are willing to go out and have the conversations and stand on the front line and say, no, we're not allowing this to happen. And ICE may be active in Minnesota, but they're manufacturing here. I saw it with my own eyes. I went up to Homeland and I witnessed the vehicles in the middle of the night, huge traffic operation, and I'm just like, wow, this is a lot of activity for the middle of the night. If you were proud of it, you would do it in the daytime. And what I'm saying is that we have to, Trump is playing in the private sector. We have to be just as wise. Find the companies that are allowing this, the private properties in Cass County, and go harass the shit out of them. But it's about time we check each other because the monsters are in the house, and as a person who grew up with monsters, staying quiet and thinking it won't affect you doesn't work. It doesn't. So I am grateful for those of you that are here, and go as an evangelical and spread the good word, all right? Even if they're backwards. So thank you. My name's Arlene.
My name is Fẹar-filled, and I have been a resident of Jackson County for just a couple of years now. I've been honored here to make friends that have been amazing, 2 of which are from Spain, Lydia and Lucia. I was honored when they invited me to their citizenship ceremony at the Royal Stadium. At the time, we left smiling and happy and celebrated. We are no longer celebrating. They are scared. We are scared for them. Our nights as girls in apartments that we should be celebrating our early 20s have turned to wondering what's going to happen to them and what's going to happen to all of us. There is no question that this is real. I agree that this ordinance is not enough. But for tonight, I urge the approval of this ordinance 60/50. Because when we inevitably have our own Nuremberg trials, I want to know their fucking names and I want to know their fucking faces.
I think that's the quote of the night.
My name is Galen Nicholson. First, I'm just honored to be able to have an opportunity to speak. I'm honored to have heard the voices of the communities around me. So thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be heard. I appreciate the incentive to push forward an ordinance 60/50. And I'm deeply grateful to be a part of a community that is not afraid to make their voices heard and to stand up and to speak for those that need to be spoken for. That being said, So I agree with all the voices that have spoken before me. 60-50 simply is not enough. We have to go further and we have to push harder. It's not enough to ask them not to simply be cowards. It's not enough simply to ask them to accept accountability for what they're doing. We need to push harder and push further, and I urge you all to continue the fight that you are fighting and push more ordinances forward, make our voices heard more, and continue to provide opportunities like these for those voices that can be heard to be heard. It's important work and it's valuable work, and we're deeply grateful for the opportunity to have a voice. So thank you for that. But please continue the work that you're doing. And all of us in the room will continue to do what we can do and continue to fight back as we can and where we can, where it's safe and where we're able. So thank you to all of you here. I'm just blown away with gratitude to be able to know that I'm in such a loving and supportive community. But we have to keep going and we have to keep fighting. Please make the adjustments to 60-50 that have been suggested, that have been pointed out. The legalities matter, the small details matter. So continue that work, and if you can and if you will, put forward more ordinances that might continue to support the communities that need to be supported. Thank you.
I'm Lonnie Donald. I'm actually running for District 4 Legislator. I found it very important to be here this evening to know what everybody was thinking, because I'm running for an office. But more important than that is every officer swears to the Constitution of the United States. I'm not sure that that's really happening at this point. Mask, and the young lady spoke very eloquently on invisibility of mask, and that was the point that I had. That anytime somebody's invisible, think about how they talk on message boards and things. They say things in the message boards and invisibility they would never say or do to somebody in person. I'm a fan of good law enforcement. I'm not a fan of bad law enforcement. All you have to do is go on YouTube and you can see law enforcement at every level violate the rights of the citizens of the United States. I don't think that it goes far enough. I think you're going to have to list some of the constitutional things that it's in violation of in your witness. Appreciate it.
Hi, I'm Michaela Wilmore. I've lived in Jackson County my whole life, worked in Jackson County, and I agree with everything everyone said. I personally do not want ICE here. I feel that there's legal ways to do things and we're not doing it, and we shouldn't have to live in fear from federal officials. And I see the horrors that's happening in Minnesota, and it is happening here. They went to a school, a local school, which just doesn't happen to be the school I work at. They went there because we have protocol. They can't come into school. We call legal. So they know that. So they try to get there at arrival or dismissal. They happened to go to Garfield. They just didn't have to pick my school. We would have had to deal with that. Garfield had to deal with that. But it was the community that came out and stopped it. So I just want all of us to feel safe, because you see I'm shaking. I don't like this, and I thank you for this legislation. And I just want to say I just don't want them here. I want us to be the great city that we are. We're doing good without them.
For those who don't know, ICE was spotted outside staging in a Kansas City public park across from Garfield Elementary. That would be at least the second Kansas City public school, elementary school to be specific, that they had targeted. Foreign Language Academy was the first where they actually detained folks out front. Those calls were very difficult to deal with, particularly as a former school board member of Kansas City Public Schools. There are protocols. But my guess is that the public didn't know about the first Foreign Language Academy one because they actually did not display that. So I'll let you take it up with your school board. Reverend McDaniel, I'll invite you back up to give some testimony, and it looks like Elias Garcia, those are our last two for this evening.
My name is Reverend Pastor David McDaniel of Holmeswood Church in South Kansas City. I'm also a resident of Jackson County, Kansas City, Missouri. Chairman Abarca, legislators Anderson and Husky and Payton. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for your goodness. I come speaking twofold. One, this past Sunday, there were over 350 people that packed our sanctuary at 9 o'clock in a sub-0 degree temperature weather on a Sunday morning to learn what your rights are as a resident related to interactions with ICE and how to protect vulnerable people. What I'm trying to say is, the church does not pack itself on Sunday mornings when it's sub-degree weather. There is a critical mass of folk that are sticking in this thing together. So let me come very publicly tonight and say, I strongly support Ordinance 6050 because visibility in a democracy is not optional. It is a moral mandate. Power that hides itself corrodes public trust. When officers keep their faces and badges visible, they honor accountability and affirm that authority exists to serve the people and not shield itself from them. A community cannot flourish when those entrusted with power operate behind masks and anonymity. Let me also publicly and unequivocally say, I stand in complete opposition to any action for the placement of a 10,000-member person federal detention facility in our community. A mass society designed to detain people rounded up by ICE does not produce security. It manufactures trauma, terror, and generational harm. It invites racial profiling and communicates that some lives are disposable and some families are expendable. Human beings are not inventory to be warehoused. And this kind of facility would stain our moral witness and would tether our local economy to human suffering. Now I know if the federal government buys that facility, there's some speed bumps. So I'm here to publicly commit to you and in front of y'all. I'm here to creatively work alongside you to create some good trouble for that surrounding area. Justice demands transparency, and law demands courage. And we are strongest when we refuse to hide power, refuse to warehouse people, and refuse to surrender our conscience for the illusion of security. So let us choose courage over fear, transparency over secrecy, and dignity over domination. And let's continue building a Kansas City and a Jackson County where every person is seen, protected, and valued. Thank you.
My name is Elias Garcia. I've been a resident of Kansas City, Jackson County all my life. I want to say thanks to Manny. I met him not too long ago. And I spent the last 5 hours of the evening before this flyer in Valentine. Thanks to everyone here. So, like I said, my name is Elias. I'm a member of the Kansas City chapter of the DSA. I volunteer at the Heart Soul Gray campaign for Missouri 4th, and I'm part of the Rapid Response Network of the KC Metro area. As I said, I want to thank Manny and all the other electeds here tonight for putting up this town hall, and I endorse Ordinance 6055 as a move in the right direction for local governance. Though obviously, we've discussed repeatedly at length tonight, that's not enough. I want to say I appreciate the conversation that Free Palestine KC brought up here tonight, in particular, not only with just the struggle in Gaza, but the history of railroad and the history of Kansas City in that conversation. Latinos have always been a part of Kansas City's history. When I say that, it actually goes before Kansas City ever existed. The Santa Fe Trail was here in the beginning. Kansas City Southern Rail, and then eventually Missouri-Kansas, Texas Rail, inevitably connected all of the United States with basically all of the Americas, with Kansas City and St. Louis functionally operating as the hubs for our commercial trade and empire. With that brought in even more Latinos. Argentine in Kansas, I believe, being the most predominant of those communities early on. And when I say Latinos were the backbone of this area, even though you don't find us in the history books too well, what I mean is that 90% of all traqueros, the guys and the wives that supported them, who built out those rail lines, were functionally Mexicans. From between here in Kansas City throughout the entire American Southwest. There was a school just 2 miles from here, in fact, named after a Latino, a Mexican. The thing is he wasn't a U.S. citizen, but he was my great deal. He was my uncle. That school is Primo Garcia Elementary, and the reason why it's named after Primo was because he died. He died defending his pregnant ESL teacher one night as he was walking home from his classes. The irony of these terrorists coming here in their attempt to purge this country, as vainly, as campus says it is, really can't be overemphasized. But I want to emphasize all the same that immigrants, Latino or not, were here before Kansas City was.
Right.
As prior speakers have mentioned, and getting to my point, the fair kind, such as the fair and kind representative of Indivisible. I don't know if she's still here. She's okay. Well, there she is. Included. I asked the municipal and state elected officials here tonight and those watching to please tell their constituents how they plan on helping this organizing that needs to happen, right? It's one thing, right? We all here need to organize, and I'll get to that soon enough, but I want to see from our electeds, Manny, everyone else, how they are going to help that organizing to occur, how they plan to help provide, say, funds, how they help to plan, provide their lectern, right, their voice, their offices, their facilities to help make this organizing possible. Whether it's boots on the ground, Kansas City's DSA, Ice Creek campaign, or your local rapid response group, if you don't know where to look, please feel free to get in contact with me and others after this. I cannot emphasize that enough, right? You can't just go to meetings and protests and then walk away feeling good. You actually do have to do something. I have looked at things here tonight that I have identified from these rapid response groups. And between organizations like Boots on the Ground, DSA, our religious community, our religious communities, we are training literally hundreds of Kansas Cityans every week on rapid response and know your rights. I have to emphasize it again. Please get involved. What we need to do is build power. As Manny said already, there is not much he can do. Not much that the legislature can do when you're in a state that functionally does not want to protect you, that functionally doesn't believe you have rights. That's why organizing matters now. What matters is to organize so that we can eventually build power, right? One day this will be over. One day it will come to an end. It's not sustainable, it cannot last. They're not popular, they know it. And that's why with every passing day they get more desperate, they become more fanatic, they become even more crazier, because they know somewhere deep inside that history already is echoing back at them, and it will not look at them. One day there will be a list. We will have those names. Yes. And we're going to do something. And we will. We will. So, thank you all tonight. From Gaza to Kansas City to Mexico to everywhere. We have some building to do. Thank you.
Sure. Hey, I did sign up, but my name's Karen. I'm on the board of Boots on the Ground as well as Invisible Kansas City, but that's not really important. I just wanted to thank you all for being here and say that there is something that you can do right now. There's actually a fantastic app called 5 Calls. It will give you the numbers of your representatives, their addresses, so you can write letters, so you can call, and a script that you can read.
All you have to do is give your name and your zip code. And that will be counted, it will be reported to whatever representative you wish to contact. So I would emphasize the 5 people that are not in this room that represent Jackson County, as well as your senator, which I guarantee for all of us is a Republican who is in favor of ICE. As well as if you happen to have a Republican representative or a Republican state legislature, definitely contact them as well. They need to hear our voices. We need to encourage everybody to not only get out and protest, but also to make these calls, to write these letters. It does matter, it does influence them, and it will make a difference. Thank you.
I wondered if we could, and I'm remiss for not doing it earlier, take a moment of silence for Renee Good and all the lives that have been lost at the hands of ICE and any other law enforcement agency. Thank you. What happens next? What happens next is Monday the 26th. We have an opportunity, and I don't know if it's actually been set yet or not, but the committee that has this legislation can be taken out. Legislator Donna Payton, who is now left but is here, is the current chair of that committee. And we've asked her to take this up immediately so we can deal with it. It has been delayed. This was introduced back in the beginning of December. And so there is stagnation from some of our colleagues that does need to be pushed through. If you were to make edits and commentary changes, it can happen in committee, it can happen on the floor. If it happens in committee, it gets passed and it gets sent to us, we hear it, pass it one time, and set it on the agenda for another week. We can also adopt it with 6 votes the same day. That becomes more difficult if we barely get to 5. So if it fails to pass, we cannot bring it again up for another year unless we modify it pretty significantly. So it is incumbent upon you all to weigh in with your county elected officials to pass this. If it does pass, it goes to the county executive for signature or veto. If it is vetoed, we can override that veto with 6 votes. Again, makes it a little difficult. 10 days, right? We have 10 days to veto or to go unsigned and put it into law. It's critically important, as we've talked about several of the legal challenges, that we do not create any additional barriers for this legislation. Or, as the attorneys note, they can go back in and pull all those strings and say, this was not signed off by the general counsel's office. Why? This was not signed by the county executive. Why? Those things can all create legal challenges and barriers that we don't need to deal with. The prosecutor's going to have a tough job having to enforce these once it comes down to that. But we do have a county court for which citation can be made civilly. Same with Kansas City, Missouri. Kansas City, Missouri can also pass a similar ordinance, or any municipality, for which then it becomes another violation. You can get charged in the city and the county for the same crime. I'll leave it there. So these are opportunities for you to weigh in with your elected officials. I would agree with you wholeheartedly that this is nowhere close to being what we need right now. However, as I have told a colleague, if we can't do what's easy right now on this, how are we going to do what's hard? This is a test. This is a test of the 7 Democrats. Because I will tell you, as I think my colleague Jalen Anderson knows, just because you're a Democrat doesn't mean you act like it in this legislation. So, we are all up for re-election in 2026. We file in a couple weeks. Again, I'd encourage you all to get involved in everything you possibly can. The more the merrier. Challenge me, challenge him, let's go. These are opportunities for service, and truly, there's a myriad of different issues that are facing the county at the moment, but none more important than the 7,600 facility ICE detention facility that is in concentration camp. Will be. I think Jalen and I are both going to stay a little bit longer. I want to be cognizant of NCC's time, so maybe we can take conversations out in the hallway so they can start tearing down. Again, thank you all for being here. Monday at 3 p.m. you can watch online through the Jackson County website or see us in person at the downtown legislative courthouse chambers on the 2nd floor. Thank you so much for being here tonight.
Well, I'm here with Antoine. He mentioned, as you saw, pretty strong words about the Second Amendment, about defending our communities here in Kansas City. Do you mean it, Antoine?
Absolutely. Absolutely. If our government is not going to protect us, we have a constitutional right per the Second Amendment to protect and defend ourselves. So absolutely, I meant every word I said.
Do you think this would be a challenge for the current administration? I see it more like a regime, the neo-fascist regime of Donald Trump. Do you think that would be like a challenge for them? That then maybe they would say like, oh, well, Antoine and the community in Kansas City are like challenging us. Maybe we should go there?
Listen, you said it right the first time. This is a regime. This is a wannabe dictator who is not fulfilling his oath of office by protecting and defending the Constitution, because we see on a daily basis he keeps violating the very Constitution that we live by. We cannot have this. If he is not going to protect the people of the United States of America, then we're going to protect ourselves by any means necessary.
As you should know, you already know, Antoine, I'm sure, historically, they have been dividing our communities, the African American community and the Latino community, the elites, in order for them to control us. Right now, in this moment that we're facing fascism, what will be your message for your community and my community?
First of all, I want to speak to the Hispanic community. Don't let them distract you. Do you see what color I am? We're brothers.
Yeah, we are.
We are brothers. They're going to come after you the same way they come after me. So we have to stand together as one community. And I say the same to my community. We cannot be so caught up in being tribal for one side or the other. We have to come together as one people. Because at the end of the day, the thing that binds us together is we're human beings.
Right.
We're human beings, and we deserve to live in peace.
We definitely deserve to live in peace. Now, to those folks that are at home right now watching you, maybe undocumented folks are really, really scared to come outside, to even work, what would be your message for them?
Don't be afraid. The darkest part of night is right before day. This is your darkest part of night. And you best believe we have people here that look like me that will stand by you 100%. Because we are brothers, we're sisters, we're a community, we are one. So I will fight for my Hispanic, Latina brothers and sisters as much as I will fight for my own community.
I appreciate your words at Tocayo. I was telling Antoine that in Spanish, Tocayo means that we are like the same, we have the same name. Do you want to say something in Spanish?
No, because I'm not that good. No, I'm not that good.
I really appreciate it, Antoine, and it was very nice meeting you. Well, Chairman, you were mentioning earlier that the prosecutor was here, right?
Prosecutor was online.
Online. How about the chief of police? Was she online? Is she interested at all in this?
Yeah, so I reached out to the chief of police, invited her just to listen in and partake, and so I don't know if she responded back or not yet. I hadn't checked my email.
I mean, I ask you this because they are the ones who are going to be enforcing that law in case it's approved, right?
Yeah.
And the lack of interest is quite preoccupying.
Yeah, I mean, I think that law enforcement is trying to figure this one out, and I think they're going to take lead from the sheriff. I've had one conversation with him and vowed to have more, and so I think that's probably going to default on what the sheriff's going to do. So we'll see how that plays out, and there are unique differences with KC Mo versus another municipality, that they're state-controlled. So there's another element that's kind of tying the hands of KCPD.
We saw a big turnout to this conference, and also we have seen like a lot of people responding to your post in Twitter and so on. What would be your message for the community right now?
I mean, I think today was a great testament that I think 95%, 99% of everyone was positive about this ordinance as a first step. I think folks are asking now for more progressive actions, and so I think that's a good testament to what the general populace wants to see happen. And so, I think that's a good sign for folks who are at home fearful. They got a lot of support systems here, and there were not a lot of Latinos here, right? And so that's the other element, is that there are a lot of other communities here supporting ours, and I think that's powerful.
You were mentioning that there are a couple of, or many more Republicans that may repeal this proposition. What is your take about this?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of focused work that needs to be done in the state legislature. I don't know why they'd focus on us. If we choose to pass this mask mandate situation, I doubt that they're going to react. There's so much more going on there. I don't know that they would. You may get legislators filing bills, but again, that's why we got to hold those folks accountable. So,
thank you so much, Chairman, again, and we'll keep bothering you.
Absolutely, so. Please do. Thank you.
Bueno, estoy con Elías, él participó en esta audiencia que tuvimos. ¿Qué opinas de lo que está pasando en estos momentos en el país y precisamente en nuestra ciudad?
Es un momento de fascismo, right? La cosa es que ahora es casi como un guerra en este país, ¿cómo se dice en español? ¿Guerra civil?
Una guerra civil. Sí.
Guerra civil. Por eso yo tengo mucho interesante en la historia de este país, por eso estoy hablando mucho de la historia de la guerra civil, primero de Estados Unidos, porque the patterns
los patrones.
Los patrones son familiares.
Muy similares. ¿No?
Similares, perdón.
No te preocupes, no. I was telling Chairman Abarca the other day that I've been covering the resistance in Los Angeles and Chicago, like all these resistance from our community, from the Mexican and Latino community. There are many kids are protesting and defending their parents in these protests. Their parents, their abuelitos too. But at the same time, on the other side, you get, ICE agents with last names like Fernandez, Rodriguez, migra agents, people in the National Guard. What do you think about this?
So that's the history of empire. Mira, I don't want to be super controversial, but right, the Estados Unidos, we are an empire of some kind. That's just the realidad. And I mean, look what we're doing to Greenland, right? And how we talk about Greenland, right? And throughout the history of empire, it has always been universal to use the minorities conquered as foot soldiers in empire. England did this with India. They did this with more than just India. Holland did the same thing. Belgium did that with Congo. You will always find soldiers.
The United States with Mexico.
And so aquí tenemos mexicanos que, mira, ¿qué dicen los cubanos de que son gusanos, right? So perdón, pero la realidad is you have people who...
Los disidentes, ¿no?
Los disidentes, right? Es gente que no se acuerda que son mexicanos, que los padres de ellos también están ilegales a un tiempo, right? I have family who have talked to me, be like, why, when there was the unaccompanied minor crisis, remember?
Yes.
And being
in the first term of this guy.
I had family be like, why are they doing this? And I'm sitting there with my family, and my abuelo is right next to me. I'm like, your father was 15 years old and walked across the desert for 5 days at night with his brothers, who none of them were older than 18. That's how he got here the first time. And you're asking why those kids are coming here? They don't want to remember, right? And one way is an immense success of American integration when you can ask yourself that question when your father did that, right? It's a type of amnesia. I don't know how you say amnesia in Spanish.
Amnesia.
Yeah, right, there you go. Es un tipo de amnesia, right? Que no recuerda de
que no se acuerden
acuerden de la historia de la familia que indocumentado todos, right?
Yo quiero agradecerte. I want to thank you personally as a parent of two Mexican Americans that were born here, that you're here representing our community, defending us. My voice breaks. I'm a journalist. I have been a journalist for almost 3 decades. 2 decades. But it's very touching that our community is here, our kids are here, representing us and defending us. Any message you have for the community, for all those folks that are watching you right now at home, maybe very, very worried, they don't want to come out, they are like, they don't even want to go to work because they're worried about what this regime is doing to them?
I see my Spanish isn't too bad here. El pueblo unido se tiene poder, right? Right? Like, so at the end of the day, right, si estamos juntos tenemos seguridad y poder, right? don't let fear break you. That's the thing, right? If you think it's bad now, I have bad news. I think it's going to get worse, which is why you have to do something now. Do you think I want to be here, right? I did not ask for this moment in time. I did not ask for these things to happen, but we have to do something, right? It starts with just a few acts. I've only been doing stuff for, at this point, we're coming on 3 months, right? And the reason why I started doing something was because my friends were telling me, like, look, you're so vocal about these things. Why aren't you doing something? And at some point, it like snapped at me. I'm like, no, you're right. I have to do something, right? It's easy to be on Facebook, on TikTok, on Instagram, be like, it's bad, right? It's so bad. It's so depressing. But the moment you come out, it gives you energy. It activates you. Before this town hall, I was literally 2, 3, 4 blocks over. I was putting out flyers for the town hall for 4 hours. I think I walked technically like 7 miles. I did 200 houses somehow by myself. We have fundraisers that I've been involved with for the 3 months I've been, like, I can keep going on. Like, the work is there to be done. It just needs people, and you can do it. Ahora, con la DSA Kansas City, pero más también con el boots on the ground, los botes en la tierra, it's indivisible, right? Yes. Necesitamos más gente que pueda hablar español bueno. Yo casi no puedo hablar español. Yo entiendo español, pero mira, right? My grammar is bad. We need people who speak Spanish, right? Who can connect into these communities. Right, because people are hiding, they don't want to get out, and right, si tienes puro güeros y gringos que quieren ayudar, pero no saben a dónde a buscar los trabajadores que necesitan ayuda, right? Los familias que necesitan comida porque no puede salir de la casa, right? Right? We need you to come out and help us find those families and connect. And again, because unidos tenemos poder en seguridad, right? That's what it's about at the end of the day.
That's an excellent message. I really appreciate that. Like, yeah, we should all stand up and at some point resist. Those people who can speak both languages, they should, like Elias say, stand up and con las botas en el piso, en la tierra. Muchas gracias, Elías.
Mucho gusto. Que te vaya bien. Dios bendiga a todos.